What happens when your emotionally unavailable ex finally cracks like an iPhone screen? Will they come crawling back? Will they send that 2 a.m. hey stranger text? Or will they just vanish again? Well, stay tuned and you'll find out. Hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping people just like you get their ex back. And welcome back, my beautiful no contact army. If you're a soldier in my army, then you already know the power of silence. And if you've been using my app Silencio to stay strong in no contact, first of all, thank you. And second, I'd love if you could drop a rating or a review. Every bit of support is appreciated. The link is below as always. Before we dive into what happens when an avoidant ex finally breaks, let's talk about why they're like this in the first place, because understanding their wiring is your secret weapon. Avoidants aren't cold-hearted villains. They're literally wired to protect themselves. Emotional distance, that's their security blanket. Closeness feels like danger. Vulnerability feels like risk. And silence, that's their safe space. Avoidants constantly experience a tug of war between wanting to be close and wanting to be distant. Their nervous system is not programmed to engage, but rather to run away. They want love until they feel it, and then their nervous system screams, "Run!" It's not about you, it's about their fear. Don't take their withdrawal personally, even though that may be hard to do. This has nothing to do with your worth. People dating avoidance often mistake the avoidance walls as evidence that they're not good enough or lovable enough for the avoidant to take the walls down, but that's just not true. The walls were there long before you arrived on the scene. But here's what most people don't realize. Those walls aren't unbreakable. With the right pressure, they will crack and eventually collapse. And that's where you come in. And speaking of cracks, if you're serious about getting your ex back the right way, I offer one-on-one coaching because strategy does matter. And the link to that is underneath every single video and podcast, as always. So, what does applying the right pressure look like? To begin with, you absolutely need to have boundaries and self-respect to deal with an avoidant. And this looks like not chasing them and remaining silent. They have this idea of how you were going to behave after the breakup, but you're behaving differently. You were anxious and wanted to chase them, but now you're totally silent. They reach out with a breadcrumb, you don't respond. People rely on patterns in order to feel safe. Your anxiety and emotional availability made them feel safe. But now, silence is your superpower. They expected you to chase, they relied on your anxiety to feel secure, but now it's radio silence. No reactions, no breadcrumb responses. That disrupts their entire script. Or you pull the jealousy card and it looks like you're on a date and moving on. Or you level up and glow up. You look happy. And your evolution quietly exposes their emotional stagnation. For avoidance, predictability is that you were anxious and overgiving. The shift creates an emotional gap that they can't control. They're used to you filling in the gap. And when that stops, it's disorienting. When you're grounded and can't be shaken by the breakup, that shakes up an avoidant who relied on your emotional reactions to feel secure when they pulled away. But now, their silence doesn't pull you in, but rather it pushes you away. Their detachment doesn't create fear, it now creates clarity. You're silently sending a strong message which says it's not business as usual. This will come as a shock to your avoidant ex. You're showing them without words that their avoidant attachment style is going to cost them. And this will force them to face their avoidance. By doing this, you're quietly applying pressure. That contrast now requires them to self-reflect. And over time, this works because human beings crave connection. Yes, even avoidance. And when they realize that their behavior is going to cost them the connection, they'll sit up and take notice. They had you on the back burner and thought they could get you back at any time, But now they realize that's no longer an option. And they can only keep their emotions locked up for so long before they stage a jailbreak. Meeting new people isn't turning out to be as amazing as they thought it would be. And they're finding that dating apps can be brutal and a knock to the ego. And that's when they're going to start to panic. No contact and your boundaries have done their job. The longer you hold them, the longer the echo in someone's mind, especially for someone who is used to silence working in their favor. When they realize that silence no longer gives them power, pressure builds inside them. And this is when they're most likely to reach out. Not necessarily to get back together, but to see if they still have access and if you're still somewhat interested. And by the way, if you'd like more help with no contact, go to nocontactsecrets.com to download my book, No Contact Secrets. Link is underneath, as always. So here's what to expect when your ex finally breaks. The texts start rolling in, but not all reach outs are created equal. So here's what to watch out for. You may get the classic "you up" text at midnight. Your move, ignore. Let that red receipt sting. Or they'll hit you with the nostalgia bomb. Suddenly they're reminiscing about a conversation you had or a trip you took. Or maybe the "I've been doing some thinking" text. Translation: I got bored and my new situationship ghosted me, so want to chat? Then of course we have the fake self-awareness. I've been working on myself. Cool. Show receipts. Did you journal, go to therapy, watch videos about attachment styles? And don't fall for the classic "I miss you" bait. They may be missing you in this moment, but will they miss you tomorrow? Does the fact that they miss you mean that they want you back? Not necessarily. And I've actually done a whole video on how to respond to the "I miss you" text. And as usual, I'll put the link in the upper right-hand corner on YouTube. So how do you handle these reach outs? Well, you need to make them work for it. If they want back in, they better bring more than a half-hearted, "Hey, we require effort, sir or ma'am." And don't fall for the Hoover. No, not the vacuum. Avoidants love to suck you back in when they're lonely. They need to put in effort, and they need to show that they've worked on themselves and they're not going to run away every time they get triggered. Now I want to hear from you. Has your avoidant ex started acting like they just discovered their emotions for the first time? Drop your stories in the comments. I live for the drama. And hit the subscribe button if you found this helpful.